Hey fellow adventurers, this is Anson. It's been a while since our last episode, but like everything else in the world, COVID has prevented us from meeting in person. The long-awaited second season of Moat House Gold is not happening yet. Instead, we decided to do the most cliche thing we could for a D&D podcast and play the starter set Mine of Phandelver. I will be DMing, while Brad, Yossi, and Colin will play the pre-made character sheets that came with the starter set. We are recording over video chat, so I apologize for the low quality of the recording, but our very few fans wanted new episodes and we wanted to deliver. Thank you to anyone who is still listening after such a long break. We hope you enjoy our feeble attempt to create an entertaining podcast. Due to your poor fate and lack of funds, you find yourself in a filthy back alley tavern, being patronized by a loud-mouthed, red-headed dwarf named Gundren Rockseeker. Listen here, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, but you're the best I can do on such short notice. The rotting floorboards creak under Gundren's feet as he drunkenly sways over the table. There's a wagon out front, with 2 oxen pulling a load of goodies I need in Phandlin. I'd drive it there myself if it weren't for me needing to meet up with my brothers sooner, and I'm taking me muscle with me. But mark my words, if you try anything funny with me cart, Sildar Hallwinter here will hunt you down and make you pay your debt with your hide. A large man with unkempt black hair looms behind Gundren. The 3 of you will be hauling my cart 2 days southeast from here to meet me at Barthren's Provisions on the north side of Phandalin. I'll pay you 10 gold for your troubles after I thoroughly inspect the wagon. Now finish up the ales I so graciously bought you and be on your way. Gundren, without a farewell, marches over to the front door to step onto the snowy streets of Neverwinter. Sildar follows after him, leering at you as he slowly shuts the pathetic excuse for a door. The 3 of you are left alone in the smarmy tavern, though winter wind still whipping through the slats of the door. You finished your chilled ales as you planned your long journey ahead of you.
So, 2 of us get 3 gold, but 1 of us gets 4 gold.
Hey, I never agreed to any of that.
Should we each take 3 and give the 10th gold to the Temple of Ogma?
I see that you're a follower of Ogma.
Yes. Brayden and Colin's characters see a copper-skinned elf with his elven ears, bald. He has a mustache and a goatee about 1 inch long. He says, "Well, I don't know if you guys are up for this, but my name is Azorio. I seek knowledge in its most pure form, and to add to my tome of knowledge and spells."
Sounds like a dreadful pursuit, if you ask me.
What is your objective in this Neverwinter that we live in?
That's a good question. The only thing I care about right now, the only thing that anybody really cares about, glory. For what else is there in this life?
No, that's what I'm talking about. All right.
The pursuit of glory, dreams, wealth. That is the only way that we can achieve this glory is through wealth. This is the world that we live in. Friends, I'm going to tell you something right now nobody has ever heard before. You see, I have a plan. Follow me, and if you follow me good, I'll make sure to reward you in kind. With wealth, of course.
Well, how does this 10 gold sound to you? Is it too pithy to even bother with? In the coffers of Ogma, there are much gold.
Yes, I see, but, well, You see, I'm a little bit, I'm between things at the moment, and if I could actually borrow a little bit of money.
None of you have any money.
But we gotta know what Colin's character looks like.
A native of Neverwinter, so he has white skin and he has like a page boy haircut. He's wearing nice clothes. They're well-made clothes for traveling. He seems to have a gleam of mad insight in his eyes, and yeah, dude. Yeah, for real. But you see that he's also strong. Maybe he works out. He's not like a refrigerator or something. He's not like a big dude. He has a huge great axe across his back. As he's telling you, his fingers start to go up, touching the handle and stuff while he's talking. He's wearing white makeup on his face. But he has like red cheeks that have been like artificially reddened, and he might be wearing fake eyelashes. You're not sure. So he seems like a bit of a dandy.
I'll take a few deep breaths, my cherry-cheeked acquaintance. There's no need to draw your great axe at this time.
I know. I just wanted to let you all know that I have certain plans and dreams in order to attain the glory that we all seek.
The third person at the table finishes their ale and slams it down, and you realize he's not actually sitting at the table, he's actually just standing on the bench. His head's barely above the table. A 2'9" tall halfling who's really round and portly. Like, he almost looks like a complete round ball. You'd say he's probably about 2'9" and like maybe like 60 pounds. So he's just completely kind of round. He's got these short arms. You can't tell where his arms start and his body starts. He's wearing some kind of loose cloak. He slams down the ale and he brushes this long hair that's covering his face out of his eyes, and it reveals these deep, dark brown eyes that have eyeshadow around them on his fat face. Look at this. Another one of these Neverwinter townies. Probably in between jobs. Can't get out of the house, living in your parents' basement.
Hoo-hoo!
I'll have you know, my parents don't have a basement.
And I'll have you know that I dwell in the halls of the temple when I can, and that I have free lodgings all around Neverwinter, wherever Ogma's name is pursued.
He brushes his hair aside again, the little man, and says, and I have a penthouse down by the bay. Anyways, you see the little man hop off the bench, and he disappears into the small crowd. He's going up towards the bar, and he climbs up a stool and orders another drink.
Well, what was your name again? Planopicus?
Well, my name is Azorio. And you are?
My name is Splendorius.
Splendorius? Splendorius?
If you don't mind me asking, is that a given name or is that the name your parents gave you?
It's the name that my parents gave me.
I like it, for it speaks of splendor. Perhaps our lives will be more splendiferent if we take these two oxen to the destination that Gundren Rockseeker wants us to take it to. It'd be a way to get out of this town we're in right now. I don't much like it. People do not seem to seek knowledge in the same way that I do.
You didn't really realize this, but now that little man is standing on the other side of the bench that you were at. You didn't see him the whole time. He's a pretty sneaky little guy. Little man says, Splendorius, huh? What a name. You're not quite sure how he even heard that.
You're a curious fellow, aren't you?
My name? And he brushes his hair aside again, revealing his round face and dark eyes. He says, my name is Sandowish Hogue. Sandowish. You can call me Sandowish Hogue. You can call me Sando, but my full name is Sandowish Hogue. Why bother with anything, man?
That's a foolish attitude to take.
Well, listen, you're the one talking about following that drunk Gundren out there. That's a fool's errand if I ever heard one.
What other choice do I have? I've been in this hamlet for just about 4 days, and I've seen very little signs of intelligent life. You guys seem to be sparking a little bit.
I thought you were just boasting about how you can stay in any temple you want, and they have coffers full of gold. Now that sounds like less of a fool's errand and more of a heist opportunity, if you know what I'm saying.
I wouldn't dare try it, for the magic that is shrouded around these places would singe your thieving fingers.
You don't even know anything about me.
I know that you're sandwich. sorry.
Sandwich. Hey,
Yeah, I do know
Sandwich, bud.
I do know that you are stealthy, and that I've had certain run-ins with thieves' guilds before.
Oh, is that so? Well, I'm not part of any mainstream guild. I'm doing my own thing.
Very independent of you, then.
The day's getting on, and if you're gonna start on the road, you better go soon.
Like we go outside and like the oxen, all the merchandise is gone.
We waited too long and all got stolen.
Because like we were supposed to leave then, but we just talked for 4 hours and Anson didn't bother to tell us and wanted us to like learn our lesson.
So you guys really want to go follow that drunkard with his oxen for no reason? I'm having a good time here.
Well, the dwarf is more of your stature. Don't you trust him and his missions?
Yeah, he's no kind of mine.
It's a little problematic to say around Neverwinter these days, ever since things became so politically charged.
What, do you think I'm gonna get me 2'9"?
Hey, everybody, we got an old school redneck over here. Look at this guy. You really want to go follow that drunkard Gundren?
Sandowish, look here. Let me tell you something. A lot of people won't tell you this, so I'm going to give it to you straight. If you want to achieve anything in this life, you need capital. How are you going to get that without doing what that guy says? How are you going to get the gold that'll let you get the glory?
I was thinking we'd follow our friend here, Azorio, to his temple and take a couple of coffers of gold. How about that?
I think the magic that enshrouds that would singe your thieving fingers, as I
But
said
surely
earlier.
you could help us with that. Come on. It'll be cool.
I would not turn on Ogma. He is the source of the true cognition that sustains us. Better to earn our gold through just means. 3 gold in a bank for 1 season could earn 1 gold in interest.
Is your like accounting like homework bleeding into like the D&D world? Okay, all right. I got one. Do you follow Ogma or Dogma? Think about it. Ogma would really want you to really spread his word with the power that wealth can harness. And how else are you going to spread his word without wealth? How else can you possibly do it without stealing a little bit of money from his church?
I would not bite the hand that feeds. Ogma has given me my lust for historical knowledge, the knowledge that is bound within these pages, and he slaps down a tome on the table with a resounding thud. And maybe if you quit suggesting that I commit mutiny against everything I cherish and hold true, you will see the pages of this amazing tome. And he puts it back in his backpack.
Well, listen, you two. Why don't you figure out what we're going to do? And I might come back and join you after another pint. And you see the little man disappear into the crowd again. But actually, he's going to go out. He's going to go outside and check out the cart. Sandowish is going to sneak out of the Smarmy. I'm going to exit Tavern Smarmy, sneak out to the cart.
No one notices as Sando slips out the rickety front door of the Smarmy Tavern, which usually gives off a loud creak anytime it's opened. Sando, you're now outside staring at a cart in the snow full of crates and barrels and 2 oxen awaiting their journey ahead of them.
Okay, I'll just hop on the cart and see what's in the crates.
It's just mining equipment, picks, mostly things people need for mining, but not any food or anything of perishables.
Sandowish goes back in the tavern and says,
You guys notice Sando walk back in the door, which is really surprising because you don't remember him walking out the door. The rickety door opens with a loud creak.
He brushes his hair aside and says, "Are you guys coming or what?"
I say, Azorio, I admire your ethics, your values. It takes a certain kind of strength to maintain that kind of conviction. Splendorius turns. He follows Sandowish outside.
Azorio, you're there alone.
I give the bartender a wave, and I walk out the door into the cold.
He doesn't notice nor cares. You leave Neverwinter on the high road, traveling southward for several days to reach the Triborn Trail, which veers east. You've encountered no trouble so far, but this territory can be dangerous. Bandits and outlaws have been known to lurk along the trail.
Sandowish is going to be just sitting on the back of the wagon, like a heavy beach ball piece of cargo.
Okay.
Splendorius wants to be as high as possible.
Okay, you're in the driver's seat.
And every once in a while, he pulls out his great axe, holding it out, and then going across the land, surveying it with his axe.
That's also
And,
why Azorio is walking right now, is because he was doing that earlier and it was unsettling him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you get that thing out of my face?
Other passerbyers are also unsettled by it. You can see when you do that, they hurry past and avoid eye contact.
But then, when he catches eye contact with Sandowish, he winks.
Sandowish is wondering, hey, can I sit on the back of this wagon and shoot my crossbow out?
Okay, so hold on. I have a great axe across my back, and I have a javelin across my other back.
You have two bags.
I'm sorry.
My front.
That was silly. No, I have them both across my one back, but in an X.
You look like Deadpool, but with an axe and a javelin.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Sandowish has a short sword in a scabbard that you can't really see. It looks like it goes inside of him. You just see a handle coming out of this billowy cloak.
So, since you've moved southward, it's warmed up and is a fairly brisk day, probably 50s, but the sun is out.
Beautiful day, Splendorius muses.
Your companions don't answer you. They're a little off-put by your behavior of the axe.
Yeah, Azorio is lost in thought.
We continue.
You've been on the Tyburn Trail for about half a day. As you come around a bend, you spot two dead horses sprawled about 50 feet ahead of you, blocking the path. Each has several black feathered arrows sticking out of it. The woods press close to the trail here, the steep embankment and dense thicket on either side.
Obviously, Splendorius immediately puts the brakes. I say, whoa!
The oxen slow and stop.
Don't forget to put it in park. One time my dad left it off and it rolled backwards down his cobblestone driveway. He had to go running after it.
Splendorius says, I hate it when that happens.
Splendorius, do you pull the parking brake on the wagon?
Splendorius doesn't know what Sandowish is talking about.
Sandowish hops up and skips over the boxes of cargo and gives Splendorius a so stupid look and reaches down between the seats of the carriage and pulls the parking brake on the wagon.
You pull the parking brake and it's just like an axe that's on a pivot point and the head of the axe digs into the ground. And it goes in easily since it's a soft trail that's muddy from all the passing carts.
Splendorius says, must be one of those new models from Karatur.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't know what a parking brake is, seeing as how you carry one around with you all day. And he swashes his hair to the side and hops off the carriage.
Splendorius thinks to himself, there's something about the way when he swishes his hair like that makes Splendorius think that maybe Sandowish might have been trolling him, but he's not sure. Splendorius says, all right, fellas, looks like we've got ourselves here. Bit of a trap, textbook situation. Follow my lead and do what I say, and we'll live.
You instantly die.
Sandowish is going to say, yeah, whatever, and follow.
Azorio nods in assent.
Sandowish?
Yeah, man, I know. I'll sneak through the woods. You approach head on, and the mage will cover us both.
That is not what I meant.
Oh.
You, I think, would be best if you went to go investigate, and Azorio, go with them, back up. I'm going to stay here, and I am going to guard the wagon. Splendorius has his out, surveying the scene, holding the axe. His other hand is starting to go up, ready for his javelin. During the trip, he, at some point, has applied a fake mole on his cheek. He says, Azurio is going to be backup. You're still going to go, but you're not going to go as far.
Should the fighter go first and check it out, and we'll back you up?
Yes, Splendorius. The hole I see in your plot is that you would get none of the glory when the Marauders come out, and we, that being Azorio and Sandowish, slay the Marauders. Don't you want some of that glory?
Sandowish just kind of like, whoa, this guy's like pretty smart. This guy like is like smarty pants over here.
Splendorius, without saying anything, jumps down. And he says, I didn't realize how conservative the both of you were. I hope you don't mind that you have a libertine here with you. Libertine that I may be, I fear not death. Be my backup. He puts his hand down. He was going up for the javelin. He puts it down. He has his great axe out. He puts up a hand and motions for Sandowish and Azuria to follow him. He starts walking towards the bodies, and then he stops when he's about 30 feet away, and he puts up his hand and motions for everybody to stop. He closes his eyes. He puts his great axe up to his ear to magnifying his hearing. He listens.
Splendo walks forward towards the horses.
Sando's gonna disappear into the woods.
Sando sneaks into the woods, but neither Splendorius nor Azirio notice.
I'll just move up towards the horses.
While Sando moves up towards the horses, Splendorius moves also towards the horses on the trail, stopping 30 feet in front of them. As he approaches, he recognizes the horses belonging to Gundren Rockseeker and Sildar Hallwinter. The horses have been dead for about a day, and it's clear that the arrows are the cause of their death. The saddlebags have been looted. Nearby lies an empty map case. Splendorius puts the axe up to his ear, but it's not needed because a group of goblins come spilling out of the woods in a fight among themselves, making the party aware of them quite clearly and all giving you the first attack.
They're fighting amongst themselves.
The goblins spill onto the trail, fighting about who should have the first shot. Give me that! No, give me the bow! Oh! Splendorius being on the trail and closest to the fighting goblins, he's either able to strike by melee or with his javelin.
Let's go. And Splendorius charges forward. He's gonna, with both hands, grab his axe, and he's gonna swing his axe as violently as possible against as many goblins as he can to just take them all out.
Splendorius charges forward, both hands and axe, but his excitement gets the better of him, and he swings too soon, and his axe flies over the heads of the fighting goblins, who are now scrambling to get to their feet. Sando in the woods.
Sandowish is going to shoot his short bow at a goblin.
You draw back the bow and let loose your arrow out of your chubby little hand. It flies past Splendorius into the chest of one of the goblins scrambling to his feet. He lets out a shriek. Ah! Sando's arrow slams into the goblin's chest, piercing his heart, instantly dropping him to the ground.
Azorio, shoot the cantrip Ray of Frost, and I say, bite on this cool, tasty treat.
You put your hand forth, and a light blue ray shoots out of your hands. Splendorius can feel the cold over his shoulder, but the goblin is hit by an arrow before it's able to hit him, and he falls back, and the ray of frost flies into the woods. Splendorius is in the thicket of the 4 goblins.
Splendorius is going to put away his axe. His face contorts in a rage, and he reaches out to grab a goblin. Come here, you little shit.
Splendorius throws his axe back behind his back and reaches out towards one of the goblins. But the goblin is too sweaty and icky from not bathing, and Splendorius' hands slip loose from the green skin of the goblin.
Come here.
Let go! No!
This is kind of weird.
Stop it! It tickles!
Sandowish notches an arrow, flings back his hair, and attacks with his short bow.
Sando lets another arrow loose, flying again just past Splendorius, slamming into a goblin's eye as it lets out a screech. Their attack has gone horribly wrong at this point. Azorio.
How many goblins are left?
There's 3, but the one in the eye is hurting.
I'll go ahead and target him with another ray of frost.
The ray of frost flies over Splendorius, the chill going up his back. As the goblin scratches at the arrow in its eye, its hands frozen to its face, and it falls to the ground, its head shattering into pieces. The other 2 goblins are horrified and frightened. The goblins in their fright both pull a scimitar and attack Splendorius. The first attacks its scimitar hitting but bouncing off his armor. The second attacks.
He puffs out his chest and he looks around wildly at everybody.
Your wild eyes scare the second goblin just as it swings, and it misses as it tilts backwards in fright.
Splendorius pulls out his great axe and he says, "You and your entire kind must be cleansed." And he
Holy shit.
swings the great sword out again to attack and kill.
Splendorius' bigotry gets the best of him. And he's too excited. And again swings over the heads of both the goblins.
Damn it!
Sandowish, after seeing what Splendorius just did, Sandowish, as he's notching his next arrow, says to himself, that was actually pretty dark. He swishes his hair to the side and looses another arrow at one of the last 2 remaining goblins.
The arrow soars through the air, and with his hawk eye, once again hits another goblin squarely in the forehead, and it drops to the ground limply. Hand still cold, Azerio's now ready for his next attack.
Feel the cool crystalline frost from my ray.
The ray of frost shoots forward, but Sando is making it difficult for Azerio to hit the goblin, and the ray of frost flies past, nicking the ear of the goblin and freezing it, but he's unharmed otherwise. Now the goblin attacks Splendorius in hopes of getting away. He attacks with his scimitar, but again, Splendorius' armor proves too much, and the blade bounces off his armor. Splendorius is now ready for another attack.
Splendorius snarls and tries to chop the goblin in half.
Splendorius raises his axe, dropping it directly onto the center of the head of the goblin, and he peels in 2. Both halves fall to the ground, the blood soaking among his kin's blood.
With a shriek, Splendorius puts his hands on the carcass with the blood. He puts it onto his eyes and his face, and he lets out a scream.
Splendorius dips his hands in the goblin's blood and then swipes it on his cheeks, making his rosy cheeks even rosier, and lets out a curdling cry.
Sandowish immediately loses an arrow on Splendorius. That's too insane for me.
All right.
I want to, but I can't. That's ridiculous.
Splendorius.
No, why not? Why not?
Run away. I'm gonna run away.
Why not?
I'm the Neverwinter and run away.
Maybe Splendorius has a problem. Maybe you guys need to show him that there's boundaries.
Okay, yeah, you're right. We'll do that. We got it. I got you.
Yeah. You're not gonna kill me.
My immediate response would be, but now I get it. You need help.
Don't roll a 20.
You need help. I'm gonna be here to work through it together, you know?
Call and take it. Inspiration point.
God, if that's what gives your guy inspiration points, like nobody's gonna ever want to hang out with him. But
What if he saved your life?
Okay, when you save my life, I'll be like, dude, he's not like that ultra violent. He's just like misunderstood, you know? He's actually
Like-
a pretty nice guy when you get to know him.
Like, honestly, we're lucky that we grew up with friends.
Because most people grow up with people around them like Splendorius, who like accidentally run over a squirrel or something in the road, and instead of being like, oh shit, oh god, I feel bad about that, he would stop the car and run around and grab the fucking roadkill and rub it all over his fucking face.
Or would he?
I don't know. Would he? That's,
Well, I think you not knowing is the best possibility.
Hey, we have to determine, is goblin blood red in this world or is it black? A la Tolkien.
Right.
Ooh, good question.
right.
Good question.
I thought it was
glows
green.
blue.
You want to Google it, or do you want to do DM's call?
But I was thinking it'd be DM's call, yeah.
Let's do black, even though it messes up my extra ruse.
Oh yeah, now you're like Splendorius rubbed it on his face, but now he looks like he has like corpse paint on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
That's even cooler.
Well, it's still rouge, but it's like black rouge, so it's this weird poetic device where it's like a red emerald, or like the, you know, the yellow stoplight.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, you know what? That perfectly illustrates the whole thing that Brad was talking about with the squirrel and you not knowing what he would do. A yellow stoplight. No. What was it? No, I'm sorry. A yellow. What was it? A yellow stop sign. As a yellow stop sign. What did you say?
He says yellow stoplight, which actually does exist.
Yeah, it does exist. It's not that good. It's not that good. You had me at red emerald.
Now, there is yellow deaf kids at play signs.
Why does the yellow sign immediately, instead of being like, there are yellow crosswalk signs, answer goes, you know, there are yellow deaf kids at play?
Yeah. Because then it's like,
Almost oddly specific yellow. There's so many yellow signs that just means caution.
it goes with you're running over somebody.
The reason actually why that like made sense to me is because every time I walk Alfonso, there's a sign that's a yellow sign, but it says autistic kid at play. That's even more obscure. So I was like, oh, it's like the sign I always see. But then I realized, but Brad's right, though.
Sure, there's like hundreds of more common.
That was
yellow
the joke.
signs.
That's the joke. It's like stupidly specific.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
Back in character.
All right.
The party finds themselves in the calm of the battle. They're now faced on a choice whether to move forward to Phandelver or find out where these goblins have come from.
Do you think there's any way that we can find out, perhaps where there might be more?
Funny you should ask. By the way, man, that was, you know, that was pretty cool. You know, what you did back there. Anyways, it's like pretty, it's pretty edgy. You know, it's like pretty hardcore. You all right? You know, like, yeah, it's all right.
When Sando was in the woods, he noticed a small trail leading northward.
Splendorius looks at you both and he says, they tried to kill us.
Sandowish Hogue extends a hand, reaches it up pretty high as he can reach above his head, which reaches Splendorius's waist, and says, hey man, that was actually pretty heavy of you. Cool. And tries to give you a high five.
Splendorius smiles. He says, thanks. He gives him a blood-stained high five. And he holds the hand and shakes it. Gives him a knowing look.
When you clasp Sandowish's hand, you realize that even though your hand has blood on it, his hand is clammier and sweatier than yours feels.
Nice.
Like kind of gross.
Splendorius, he looks at his glove. As he's walking away, he like smells his glove a little bit.
Gross. So listen, I may not be the smartest guy here. I know who that is. As Sandowish looks over at Azorio. But look what we've got here. Couple of loose bags that probably had money in them. And a map case. I don't know why I know it's a map case, but it looks like it was probably a map case. So what say we?
Definitely a map case.
What
It's like
say we all that we go check out what else these goblins have stolen, and we can have loot for weekends and weekends to come.
I say that's a good idea. In fact, I think we should check these corpses for currency right this moment.
Sando says there's totally a trail up that way, but I saw little tiny goblin feet on.
What do we do with the beasts of burden? Do we continue to carry them with us?
There's enough room on either side of the trail to securely hide and tie the oxen up.
Well, I think we could easily make a simple day trip out of this goblin encampment or whatever we have on our hands. So we could leave these oxen tied up by the side of the road for a few hours while we lay waste upon these goblins.
No, I told you this guy was smart.
What we could have here on our hands, boys, is a potential hideout. This could be where it starts. Mark my words. I have a good feeling. He takes out his great axe and he points it at the trail. Azurio, how are we doing this?
Just like in the attack, you bring up the front. Sandowish, keep your eyes on the woods.
Sorry, it just sounds so much like sandwich.
I know!
Did you not realize
No,
that?
I did, but it still didn't me. I didn't realize it was gonna sound that bad every time.
Sandowish, you keep your eyes on the forest itself. Venture into the woods a few paces at a time should you need to, or should you sense that we are coming upon goblins that you need to hide from. I will stay back 10 or 15 paces from you, Splendorius, and when the time is right to strike, we will feel it in our bones.
Just sounds about right. I told you this guy was smart, but for me, you know what? I'm always left in the dark, always overlooked. Seems like love's always just one step away from me. And he swishes his hair back.
Splendorius, he takes a knee next to Sandowish.
Sandowish looks up at you.
You're a pretty good shot.
Thanks, man.
Sometimes not being seen can be, in and of itself, its own glorious reward, can't it? And then he stands up and leads the way up the trail.
Splendorius leads the way.
Sandowish looks at Splendorius' butt. Does he have a nice butt?
Anson, can you please roll a d20 to say how nice Splendorius' butt is?
Do I add your strength check?
GM's choice.
It's strength because it's your muscly butt.
Okay, all right.
Splendorius leads the way up the small trail as Sando takes a quiet peek at his butt, but is slightly disappointed at its shape. Maybe it's the baggy armor, but it leaves something wanting. Before he can take a closer gander at Splendorius' butt, Splendorius steps forward. You hear Splendorius screams out as he is caught in a snare by the goblins. Out of the ground, a metal snare clamps around his ankle.
Am I gonna have to gnaw my foot off to get out?
It sounds like something Splendorius would do either way, but you could just easily pull the trap open and pull your foot out if you'd like.
Splendorius screams. He shrieks. With one hand, he clutches his breast. With his axe, he's still holding it, and he almost drops it. And he twists and screams as he tries to get his leg out.
Sando and Azurio just stand there gawking.
Sando is mouth agape. I was just looking at that guy's butt to see if his bod was better than mine, and now he's in a bear trap. Sando will whip around and look at Azurio.
Azurio rushes up to the trap and tries to pry it open.
You easily pull Splendorius' foot out, and the trap snaps shut on nothing.
Splendorius screams and he gets his leg out. He lets go of his breast, and then he clutches Azorio's breast, and he puts his hand up to Azorio's head. He's crying. He says, "Thank you." And he kisses Azurio on the cheek, and then he goes down to try and tend to his wound.
Splendorius kisses Azurio on the cheek, and his tear-stained, blood-soaked cheeks leave an impression on Splendorius' cheek as well. And then Splendorius continues forward.
Wait. Maybe I'm not saying either of you are wrong on this marching order, but maybe I should check for traps.
Splendorius stops, and he whips around. It would have been nice if somebody would have thought of that before we trudged in here, and you told me to leave the way.
Listen, bro.
You told me to listen to him, and he told me to lead the way.
Oh,
So if you can check for traps, it's up to you to go check for traps now.
No, what I said was, hey, and that was pretty cool what you did back there. And then you said, all right, man, high five. And then you walked away, and then you got caught up in this metal mouth. That was on you, man.
Splendorius is right. I carry the burden for this makeshift plan.
Now, Sandowish, this is the power of ethics. This is the power of sticking to one's values. This is the way that glory is achieved. And we need you now to step up and search for traps. Glory awaits.
I'm a mere acolyte, although I have spent many hours buried nose in dusty tomes. Sometimes on the battle trail, I'm not always the best tactician. Perhaps we should lay back, go back to the oxen, rest for the night, heal that damage that was wrought upon you, Splendorius. I think these goblins will be here tomorrow. What advantage have we to go forward right now when one of us is injured?
I'm not tired.
But we could play some cards or something, you know.
Let's go at night, guys. Wait. Should we call him Splendorius? He knows what's up.
Let's call him the Wise One.
Back at the temple, I am known as Azorio, the Gordian.
Gordian?
Yes.
I'm Guardian? You say Gordian?
Yes.
Can I get the special? It's the Gordian Sandwich. Gordian Sandwich.
Splendorius says any scholar would know the wise words of the great Alando. He said approximately 4,326 years ago, in the age of the fox, the blacksmith always knows that he must strike while the iron is hottest. For if he hesitates, his wife shall not give birth for the rest of her life. We must heed the great Alando. We must go now. Wise One, don't you agree with my words?
Yes, let's go.
Sando's like internal. It's like, you guys are actually pretty fucking cool. Just really reminds me of some of those really heavy, like, dark, emotional lyrics I would hear from the bards of Neverwinter. Like, darkness of night, you'll never love me again. As you go forth into the night, ever forsake me again. He's kind of like headbanging, like he's like almost like living out these sick ass bardic tales of straw and love and heartache and battle and glory and whatnot. Like the real deal of what these bards were talking about.
Splendorius has a song stuck in his head too. Oh, many a man have been broke on the road, and they have to be revived again and again and again, until his mind has been broken by the time.
Classic. That's a classic.
And then he thinks about it and he says, I believe that was a Steve Stimball tune the last time he came through town.
Oh, you who seek the knowledge of the purest realm, venture forth in your studious tomes.
As the party moves forward with their favorite lyrics and songs in their heads, luckily, due to Sando's short stature, he's close to the ground and notices a pit covered by leaves and sticks ahead of him is another trap on the goblin trail.
These creatures will stoop at nothing. The most primitive traps, the most dishonorable, no honor, no glory, always going for the cheap kill. Well, not anymore.
Walk around the trap, and then I will continue to search for traps in and out of the woods, to and fro upon the trail.
Following the goblin trail, you come across a large cave in the hillside 5 miles from the scene of the ambush. A shallow stream flows out of the cave's mouth, which is screened by a dense briar thicket. A narrow, dry path leads into the cave on the right-hand side of the stream. but you find yourself on the left-hand side.
With the wise one's permission, I'll sneak up onto the top of the mouth of the cave on our side and look in.
This is permitted.
Sando climbs quietly, like a spider, to the top of the cave, and as he begins to poke his head in, Sando peers down into the cave and can see that the stream leads up further, and that there's also a chamber to the right side of the cave. Also, he's able to see into the thicket, where he sees 2 goblins sleeping among the brambles in a hideout.
Sneak attack them right away.
Sando, seeing the 2 sleeping goblins, arises to his feet on top of the slippery cave entrance. He slips, but catches himself, readjusts, and stumbles a little again, but again is able to find his footing, and this time pulls back his bow, loosing an arrow into the thicket, killing one of the goblins before he's even able to make a sound, while the other goblin continues to slumber. Splendorius and Azirio, in quiet amazement, just see Sando launching an arrow into the thicket, but are unaware of his actions.
With some hand signals, I'll try to emote to the thicket and point to the thicket with 2 fingers up and then 1 down, and then say, "Come on around," and then I'll shoot again.
Splendorius and Azirio see Sando do some strange hand movements. They're a little confused by the hand movements, though they do understand the quiet gesture and then a pointing to the thicket. But the other gestures are lost on them, though do come across as a little angsty.
While that's going on, Splendorius had gotten out a little pocket mirror and cloth and wiped off the blood. Out of his bag, he has his wig, which is really long, curly red hair. Splendorius was applying some lipstick, and he says, "Azurio, are you able to interpret what he's trying to communicate with his hands? What's he saying?"
I think it's something to the extent of 2 goblins, but beyond that, I cannot interpret these signs too clearly.
Sando, still with his firm footing, launches a second arrow into the chest of the second goblin, killing him in his slumber as well. The briar patch is now clear and free of any goblins. Sando signals to Splendorius and Azirio to cross the stream and meet him on the other side as he descends from the top of the cave entrance. He slips and splashes into the water for 1d splash damage.
1d damage. I'm actually weak to splash damage.
Splendorius says, "Holy shit!" and runs.
Splendorius runs into the stream, coming up to his knees, pulling Sando out of the water, which he's struggling to keep his head above.
Okay, so Splendorius then picks him up and puts him on his shoulders, and he says, "Mind the wig."
Splendorius's wig is becoming moist from the dripping water off of Sando, and his makeup is beginning to smear, but he trudges on across the stream to the other side.
Azorio goes over towards the stream and lifts up the bottom of his flowing pant legs, wade across it without besmirching his pants in water. And he's like, I'm not going to be able to save him from being wet. So he just plunges in and goes forward.
It's like 2.5 feet deep.
Azirio's pants become wet up to his knees as he crosses to the other side of the stream. Though you've only known each other for a few days, it seems that your friendship has quickly arisen, and you feel secure with your partners as you begin to march into the darkness of the open cave.
So if you come across an editing problem, an easy solution,
Just
their
cut you out.
characters. Sure, just cut me out of the whole fucking thing. Why don't you? You know, that'd make things a lot simpler, wouldn't it?
Sponsors by Anton's mom.
Okay, bio.